Hello. Wanted to start kind of a beginner crash course guide to a bunch of the instruments that I teach. So I figured the first one I would do is piano. Uh, Piano is a great instrument. I've really enjoyed all the time I've learned piano, and I use it a whole lot. It is a very valuable instrument to learn. It's good for your brain. It helps your coordination a lot. Um, Helps your independence in your left and right hands and brain even. And it's a percussive instrument at the end of the day, so rhythm is very important to the piano. Um, it is a instrument that typically fits into the rhythm section of a band. So a lot of times they can be responsible for the harmony, the background, but piano is unique because it can really do anything. You can play a bass line, play the chords of the song, play the melody, or a mixture of all of it. It really can do it all. So it is a powerful instrument. It's also not the easiest. I really, uh, it is for some people. Um, and not for others. You really have, it's one instrument that you do have to have some patience with. There's a lot to learn. I typically don't. I try to make all my piano students know how to read music because I think it's just way too important for piano students specifically. Uh, if yeah, just the there's so much material um, and different styles of piano that you can learn, and it's in extremely limiting if you don't know how to read because there is so much material for piano compared to almost any other instrument, and being able to read makes all the difference in being able to develop your own ability on piano and not just feeling like you're stuck learning tedious pieces of music from a teacher. You can learn how to read and then learn what you want to learn on the piano by reading. I recommend that to a lot of students, but there are a ton of technical skills and improvisational skills, just a ton of techniques and skills on the piano that are important to at least be exposed to by a good teacher first, because that will just kind of set you on a good path. And focusing on technique in the beginning is extremely important. It's better to focus on technique in the beginning and then allow yourself to be really free with the instrument and how you play it in the future than trying to do it the other way around and not learning a lot of technique and just kind of flubbing your way through it for a while and then trying to learn a serious piece of music that demands technique. Um, so, with all that being said, one of the first things to understand about music and really any instrument is the whole language and how it functions and all that. So, the first thing you got to get through is the musical alphabet, and we use the letters A through G, A B C D F G, and once we get to G, we reset at A, and just kind of keep going. So most musical scales, the most popular, which are the major and the minor scales, use a series of 7 notes, and on the eighth note, they repeat this at the octave. In order to play a scale on the piano, um, especially being able to play it with both hands, quite there's some technique involved. The first thing that we have to do is find our starting point, and that kind of involves knowing what a key is. So in music, we have these tonal centers or home. We You can kind of think of it as like a home where any song is going to have a note that it keeps on coming back to. It's kind of the main focus of the song. Usually starts and ends with that note, and that kind of defines what other notes we use in the song, depending on if it's in a major key. It's like a happier song or a sadder song that might use a minor key, etc. So the most common or first kind of scale that you should learn is the major scale. It's used in countless songs. The first major scale that I always teach on piano is C, because it has a large importance to the circle of fifths or circle of fourths. And you have to learn that. I teach that very early with most of my piano students. You have to learn that in order to kind of understand the full system of music. And for piano, you have to know the whole system, because none of the patterns that you are going to learn on the piano repeat. They're almost all different, and you have to know what the patterns are, what makes up a major scale pattern versus a minor scale pattern versus a lot of other patterns. So, in order to do that, you got to know the whole system. So starting with C is kind of the first intro to understanding keys and scales and the harmony that comes from these scales. So we find C on the piano by looking at the different groupings of these notes, specifically the black notes. I like to use the black notes to find C. So if you just look at the piano, we have these group of 2 black notes and then group of 3, group of 2, group of 3, and that just repeats over and over again. In order to find C, you just find your group of 2 black notes and you look directly to the left. One key to the left, and you got to go a little bit down. This is C. This is the first scale center, or the key that I like to teach from, because it uses all the white notes and no black notes. The black notes are sharp and flat notes, depending on what scale you're spelling. And when we're talking about a scale with just the white keys, that means that all of the notes are natural notes. So we're just spelling the musical alphabet A, B, C, D, F, G, and then it would be A again. But if we do that from C, we would just have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that is what makes up a C major scale. So once we can find a C, we then learn the finger numbers. So on the right hand, our thumb is 1, index is 2, middle is 3, ring is 4, pinky is 5. On the left hand, the thumb is still 1, index is still 2, middle is still 3, ring is still 4, pinky is still 5, but if you look at both your hands, it's kind of in an opposite order, where your 5s are your outside fingers, your 1s are your inside fingers. So that creates a lot of difficulty and confusion, because when we go to play this scale with both of our hands, this first note C, directly to the left of the group of 2, we start with our pinky and our thumb. So each of our hands we let naturally place on the piano and assign one key to each finger. And in the right hand, our thumb is on the C, our index is on the D above it, our middle is on the E, ring on the F, and pinky on the G. This is kind of what we call C position. And on the left hand, we start with the pinky. It's kind of the same thing. Assign one key or one finger per key. So when we start in the right hand, we start with a group of 3 notes. So we go C, D, E with our thumb, index, and middle. Then we do this motion called hand repositioning. This is where we take our hand and reposition it up a couple keys. That's really all it is. But what we do is kind of go under our first few fingers that we used with our thumb. And then our thumb is going to hit the next note, F. And when we let our hand naturally fall with our thumb on F, it will fill out the rest of the scale pretty easily. So we have F with our thumb, G with our index, middle is A, ring is B, and then we get to C, the octave, with our pinky, and that's the top of the scale. When we descend, we do our group of 5 notes first, and then we do what's called a crossover, where we take our middle finger and play the next note, E, with our middle, and then let the rest of our hand fall naturally to the bottom of our scale. That is with the right hand. With the left hand, it's a little bit opposite. So with the right hand, we had a group of 3 notes, group of 5 notes, and then on the way down, group of 5 notes, group of 3 notes. On the left hand, it's basically opposite. So we have a group of 5 notes first, starting with our pinky on C, C, D, E, F, G, and then we do our crossover with our middle finger, A, B, C. So we got a group of 5 notes, crossover, group of 3 notes. On the way down, group of 3, under with the thumb, and then let the hand fall naturally onto the rest of the scale, G, F, E, D, C. When we play those together, it gets a little crazy because really, we do the first 3 notes together, where we start with our pinky and our thumb here. And we get to both of our middle fingers on E. Then we have to go under with our right hand and play the next note, F, with our thumb. But our left hand is going to play this F with our index finger. So we have 1, 2, 3, under with the right thumb, and let your index finger in the left hand play the F. So this is really awkward because you have your index finger playing the same note as your thumb, and then the next note you got to flip it around. Your left thumb is playing the G, and your right index finger is playing the G. So this can be a little tough at first. Then your left middle finger is going to do the crossover so that your middle fingers hit together on A. Then we get B with our index in the left, ring on the right, and finally C. So again, group of 3, under with the right thumb, 2 more notes, and then over with the left middle, and we're at the top. When we descend, you go group of 3, then under with the left thumb, so we get left thumb, right index finger, then left index finger, right thumb, then over with the right middle finger to have both of our middle fingers hit on E, and we get D, and finally back to C. So at first you're only going to be able to do this at a certain speed, probably something like 50 to 60 BPM. This might even be a little fast. And that is totally okay. You do not want to rush through this at first. You got to build up the muscle memory of all those different changes. But eventually you're going to be able to do it a little quicker. Pretty natural. And that is the C major scale with both hands. One other thing to talk about just is every major scale has a relative minor scale. So we can have our song be written in a happier style with the major, or we can have the song written in a sadder vibe with the minor scale, or you can use a combination of both, because the major scale and its relative minor scale, or the minor scale with its relative major scale, are all the same notes, and it's just depending on where we're starting from. So the A minor scale is the relative minor scale for the key of C, and we find that based on the sixth degree of any major scale, you're going to find its relative minor scale. So if we go C, D, E, F, G, A is our sixth note, and therefore A is our relative minor scale. So if we just start from the note A and play all of the same notes that were in the C major scale, we get our A minor scale. So that is kind of the introduction there. And actually, that A minor scale there, if you do want to start to learn that, it is the same exact fingering as the C major scale that we just did. So same thing where you go, group of 3 and then group of 5 in the right hand. And then on the way down, group of 5, group of 3. And with the left, group of 5 and then 3. Then group of 3, group of 5. And those at the end there, those are 1, 4, 5s. You can have those in 1, 4, 1, 5 ones. Sorry. So you can have those in major or minor keys. The major one sounds like this. And that's probably going to be the next topic that we talk about with piano. But that is the first kind of piano lesson in our crash course here. But each week I'm going to be doing another one. So for the first 5 weeks, we're going to be introducing a new instrument. And then when we cycle back around, we'll get to, I guess, another beginner topic. But yeah, that's the piano. And thanks for checking it out.